Let's talk Jinx, a weekly Jinx video we do every Wednesday on this channel about anything to do with Jinx, as well as this video acting as a weekly discussion thread on the Jinx subreddit, our League of Jinx. Make sure to go check that out. Every 2 weeks, when a new patch hits, we talk about that patch, changes to Jinx, changes that might affect Jinx, and also changes to other AD carries because that might affect her matchups and such like that, and as such, also make a pseudo AD carry tier list, which is done with user input. So basically viewer input, you watching this video, because my job is to give you the information, give you trends we see, and then based off of the balanced stuff that we go over, be able to decide a tier list for what you play and what you think should be banned and such like that, because it might vary depending on your elo. So in the comment section down below, make sure to comment with your own tier list, what champions you think should be banned more than others based on what you're playing, like Jinx for example, and here we go. First, we're going to start off with the patch itself. Patch 9.4 hasn't actually came out like it usually does. It was delayed a day due to a holiday in America, President's Day on Monday, pushed the PvE and the patch back a day. So we're going to have to kind of be predictive with this. But there is a post on Surrender 20 detailing balance changes planned for the bottom lane. Now, while there are no changes to Jinx directly, there are some changes to other AD carries like Lucian. On his W Ardent Blaze, the mana cost is being increased from 50 at all ranks to 70 at all ranks, and the damage is being lowered from 85, 125, 165, 205, and 245 to 75, 110, 145, 180, and 215. And granted, I believe W is like the last thing people usually level up on Lucian. It's kind of like, especially in the late game, his combo though, that's just taking some damage out of it and also increasing the mana, especially by the later game, I imagine, right? Like by the later ranks, you're losing 30 damage. And so even though it doesn't seem like a lot of damage, perhaps with the entirety, like a full rotation of his combos in the late game when he has more cooldown reduction and stuff, that will hurt him a bit more. And as such, since the game is kind of gravitating towards those later game scaling hyper carries, this might hurt him in the area where they're going to be the strongest. So that's my take on what that change is supposed to be about, is hitting Lucian in the late game where other like crit AD carries are stronger, and as such letting those crit AD carries, I guess, be stronger. Another AD carry that's getting changed is Varus. There's a whole change list, but here it mentions the Q piercing arrow damage is being increased over charge change from 0 to 50% to 0 to 75%, and this also affects the W's active missing percent health. So if I'm reading this correctly, basically the full charge time will be now 25% more damage if you get a full charge like Q when you press and hold it and release it and then get that damage off. So that could be pretty interesting for Varus. Right now he's kind of maybe in a little bit, I don't want to say a state of limbo. Right now it does feel like if you're playing AD carries, you want to be playing them crit AD carries, or why bother? And Varus does have a crit build you could build, but maybe it's not what people think of as like the main Varus build. There also is a change to Yasuo, because Yasuo, as we mentioned in last video 2 weeks ago, is actually probably the strongest bot lane champion right now, and he benefited from the crit changes the most because of the compensation buffs they gave him after 8.11, and that combined with these changes made him really powerful. So if they do end up nerfing him, it looks like what they're actually doing instead, I thought they would just nerf or like revert those compensation changes. What it looks like they did instead was they're lowering the base AD from 63 to 60, and on this Q, Still Tempest, the crit damage is being lowered from 180% to 160%. I didn't actually even know that was a thing, and I feel bad because I actually do play some Yasuo, so what the heck? Cool, alright, well, that's a thing. So I guess they're not going for the revert. That's kind of what we talked about a bit with Jinx and some in-between videos, where if they were going to nerf her because she ended up being too powerful, I would think they would target the 8.13 compensation changes. But I guess not, they might be going a little bit different direction, because maybe those changes feel good, so I don't really know off the top of my head, for Yasuo at least. But with Jinx, like the change kind of feels good, so maybe they would go a different route if Jinx ends up needing nerfs down the road. Getting into some items, because there are some item changes. Essence Reaver, the AD is being increased from 60 to 65, and the 20% cooldown reduction is now a unique passive. Now, I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head why they would make that a unique passive. Maybe some champions in other roles specifically. Like, remember, Spear of Shojin is supposed to be kind of the older Essence Reaver when people in top lane were taking Essence Reaver. So the Renekton's, Fiora's, champions like that wanted to take Essence Reaver. That's what they kind of made Spear of Shojin into now, and that's why they could take that. Maybe they were still taking Essence Reaver and it was actually kind of ridiculous up there. I'm not entirely sure. From what I could see, it was just basically just Spear of Shojin, but what do I know? I'm not a top laner. So maybe that's kind of to do with that, or even vice versa, so that way bot lane champions don't start taking, Spear of Shojin or something like that, because maybe that was an overlap there that I'm not knowing off the top of my head. but just also increasing the AD, that might help a bit of the Essence Reaver AD carries. It does feel like when it came to the crit AD carries, it was more like the Infinity Edge crit AD carries benefited, and the Essence Reaver champions are kind of just in a little bit of limbo. One of the questions I want to pass off to you guys though is Lucian is losing the damage on his W in his full rotation, but Essence Reaver is getting some AD, which he can possibly build. So is that what they call power neutral actually? So the nerf to Lucian, quote unquote, won't actually be even that significant because he'll get some more damage back on Essence Reaver when he's doing his full rotation of spells and combo. That's the question I want to pass off to you guys. I want to know you guys' opinion on that. We go down to Kerchess's Shard. I still can't pronounce that right. Basically, it's getting passive merged into one unique passive energize. Moving and attacking will make an attack energize. Basically, it looks like they're just making that unique from what I can tell reading this right here. And it affects the other, like rapid fire cannon, static shiv. Passives have been reorganized, and Energy passive is now a unique passive. So I don't know if that means you actually can't stack things like rapid fire cannon and static shiv anymore, which also then affects things like Storm Razor. Maybe you can't do like what Caitlyn right now is pretty powerful because she can build, Infinity Edge, rapid fire cannon, static shiv. She gets the Storm Razor, and then if that lines up with her headshot proc, it's actually a disgusting amount of damage, especially from far range. So this might be addressing that without having to necessarily nerf Caitlyn, because most other AD carries don't necessarily utilize that interaction, right? Like Jinx still builds rapid or Runon's Hurricane despite the changes, because that just goes really well with her rockets and gives her AoE rockets even more AoE and kind of range to use. Doesn't mean you can't build static shiv. We did see in professional play when Jinx has actually been picked several times over the weekend across the EU and NALCS. I still call it the EU LCS, sorry. But even in Korea and stuff, we saw different builds. Someone did build actually Runon's Hurricane and static shiv. So there is that, and that'll be interesting to see going forward how that goes. But that is all of the changes for champions and then like items and stuff on the patch. Let's start looking at some websites of what currently are win rates and stuff for champions to try and get an idea of what will still be strong based off of these changes going forward. So first, let's go to good old, op.gg, which kind of really only covers Korea and 9.3 and stuff like that. If we go over to win rate in the bottom, Yasuo's way up there still at 54.29%. Cassio's at 52, 78. Sivir's up there because Sivir's low-key pretty good. Lucian's still in the top 5, and the changes might affect him. It might drop him out a bit. But Draven's also, and something that's actually being banned in pro play as well, pretty high up there. Jinx does round up the top 10 right now because people are figuring out she's pretty good, but Jinx at least still has like a lot of weaknesses and stuff that you can capitalize on, depending on the elo especially, that leaves her kind of like a low P sleeper pick in my opinion, right? Like if you're good at Jinx, now's the time to play her. If you're thinking Jinx is just something you could pick up because you think she's OP, not so much necessarily. You kind of then want to probably gravitate towards the Yasuos, the Cassiopeias, or the Sivers even, because then you can like press W, shove, press R, get a bunch of assists, you're good to go. Totally not salty. That literally is how you play Silver successfully. It really be like that sometimes. I'm just saying, I'm sorry. Yeah. If we go just to, however, just tier though, on the same page, it has Lucian as first tier, Vayne as first tier, Sivir as first tier. That's all still correct. I still think the Vayne changes really only benefit if you're really good at Vayne and proactive though, but if you are, she's up there. Jinx, Ashe, they're actually tier 2, rounding up the top 5. Caitlyn's up there, like we mentioned. Caitlyn should be because of that interaction I talked about, but also because she also gets the range from the get-go, right? Like Jinx does have to scale up. Caitlyn can kind of bully with that range from level 1. So it kind of depends who you ask there. I'm biased. I'm a Jinx player. This is a Jinx video. I'm going to say Jinx is better. So there we go. You do see some other stuff up in there. Cassiopeia, when it comes to tiers, seems to be pretty low despite the win rates. And that just goes to show you, right? Like the win rates don't necessarily tell the whole story, which is kind of why I want your input watching the video of what you think is going to be good. Like let's say you're a Sivir player and you actually don't think Lucian's that good. You think what should be getting banned is the Caitlyn more often, even though she's down here at 7. So there is that. Jumping over to champion.gg, when it comes to Plat Plus, which is basically like Diamond and higher, and it comes to the bot lane, guess who's at number 1? Jinx. More and more people are kind of figuring out she's pretty good right now. She's pretty good right now. But like, Sivir, Ashe, Twitch, Vayne, they're all up there. Lucian's still in top 10. Kalissa's even up there for a bit. But again, like we said, win rates would show you that Caitlyn and stuff is pretty bad. And it's not that those things can't get bodied if the meta's too fast. In pro play, they're still playing Kaisa even, who's down here like number 17 at the point of recording this video. That might change. I say that because by the time I screenshot this to make the slides and stuff for the video, these might change like they did last time when I was doing this. So just a heads up. But yeah, Jinx is pretty far up there. She was one of the ones that benefited by 4 position changes with the changes. Yasuo isn't really on this list in particular, but he probably should be because again, if you can make use of Yasuo, now's the time. But it shows that across 2 different sites so far, like Lucian, Jinx, Sivir, those kind of things are up there. Vayne, if you can play her, Ashe, those are things you kind of want to be playing right now. And it looks like because none of those are really hit besides Lucian, those are things you might want to still carry on into 9.4 as, you know, good stuff. There are, of course, the item changes as well, but again, probably won't affect some of these champions because they weren't really stacking all of those items together, right? If we go to u.gg, we see Yasuo up here at 56% win rate. One of his counter picks apparently is Jinx, so as a Jinx video, there you go. If Yasuo is apparently your struggle, apparently you can just keep playing Jinx and it's fine. A Misfortune would probably be what I call the actual sleeper OP. Like Jinx, people were sleeping on, but people were waking up that she's pretty good right now. Sivir, same thing, right? She's up there now. Lucian, he kind of had his moment. He's kind of dropping a little bit, and the nerfs to his W. And if the Essence Reaver change isn't actually all that good, then maybe actually he might fall even more from pick ban status, especially. But Misfortune actually, especially in lower elo, is something that's pretty good at bullying lane. I'm not exactly sure about high elo because I don't really know how much I see her in high elo personally myself to really give you guys a good insight on that, and I don't really want to interject my own opinion. I kind of want to just stick with the stats that we see on these screens and not really tell you what I think or what I see, because I could mislead you, and I don't want to do that. So I'll just leave it as Misfortune, though. She's like an asterisk. She has something that's pretty good if you can play her right now, and even if you can't play her in lower elos, actually, that's actually just something a good pickup right there. So last but not least, if we look at Mobalytics' tier list, when they came out with that, so by the way, this is Mobalytics' tier list, they actually have Yasuo, Vayne, Lucian, and Sivir as the ones that are in S tier. Jinx is in A tier though. She's pretty much up there with Sivir in my opinion. Again though, like I said, Sivir is kind of just, you know, easier to play. Press W, shove wave, especially if it's against a Jin. Ask I Keep It Taco, the master tier Jin player. He does not like Sivir at all, and some people keep picking Jin away from him. So yeah, and had to keep picking Sivir, and it was like hilarious. But you have to go ask him about it. It's great. But yeah, you know, you do see other AD carries up in that A tier because the changes were pretty good. Varus is getting a buff. He, according to them, is in B tier, and that might change for like Xayah as well, who might also now build Essence Reaver and do a bit better. Sivir, who's already pretty good, as we haven't mentioned yet, does build Essence Reaver, so that'll be kind of interesting to see where she goes. And the Yasuo changes might be effective, so that might actually nerf Sivir, not really. I'm just not speaking words properly. Nerf Yasuo in a way that makes her being Sivir be even better now. So we'll see what that goes going forward. Kai'Sa is a little bit in like limbo, I feel, where she's like, she can build crit and people do build crit, but she's also like, I don't know, not quite, I don't know, it's weird. Kai'Sa's weird right now. But in terms of Jinx, consistently Jinx, Sivir, Ashe, we're seeing them across all of these. So as we're forming this tier list, we're noticing a pattern in certain AD carries, right? Even if we switch to Mobalytics, what they call high elo bottom lane tier list, Sivir's still there, Jinx is still there. Ashe falls off a little bit, but we even still see Yasuo up there a bit. Lucian's still there, about to get nerfed. Kog'Maw is low-key underrated, I guess. He does have a crit build he could go, and that should scale pretty hard. And he can also possibly, I guess, build Essence Reaver if he wants to as well. I don't know what Kog'Maw really builds after he can no longer build Trinity Force anymore. That's the last time I was good with Kog'Maw, so I don't know. But like what we see is some consistencies, right? We've seen Lucian consistently be good, but because of the balance changes, caution, he might fall down. We've seen Sivir consistently up there. We've seen Jinx consistently up there. We've seen some creative carries like Caitlyn and stuff hovering around being up there. So as we're coming up with these tier lists, keep that in mind that we've seen some patterns of certain champions being pretty well. Draven's up there, but a lot of people not necessarily can play Draven very well. So that's why even though he's up there, I haven't really mentioned him. But across all of these, that is something to notice. We do see Draven up there as a lane bully. So that being said, in the comment section down below, form your tier list. What do you think is going to be good? What do you think is going to be great? What do you think is going to be ban worthy? Like, what would you ban after looking at this information, looking at the item changes that are coming, the changes to Varus and Lucian and stuff like that? If you want to do it, like if you were playing Jinx specifically, what do you think you should ban? Like, should you actually not ban Yasuo? Because apparently she's good against Yasuo. Lucian might fall off, so you can stop banning Lucian and instead maybe start banning like the Sivir or something like that instead. So, comment in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification, the actual subscribe button. But I don't know which video will be next, because life can have a lot of kinks. So until next time, take care. GG, get jinxed. Thank you for watching, and enjoy pizza responsibly.